Hey, English learners! Have you ever thought about whether it's really possible to speak English well every single day? Even if you're super busy? We're talking about regular people, just like you, who changed their English from being a bit shaky to feeling completely natural. Stay with us because today, on the Best English Podcast, I'm your host, Sophia, and we're going to talk about how to speak English fluently every day. We'll share simple, strong tips to make English a natural, confident part of your life. Get ready to feel good and learn easy things you can use right away. This is the Best English Podcast, so if you're new here, don't forget to hit that like button, leave us a comment with your biggest English challenge, and of course, subscribe so you don't miss any of our great episodes. Now, let's start. Do you ever feel a little nervous when you're about to speak English? Or maybe you just can't find the right words when you're talking? You are absolutely not alone. We've all felt this way, believe me. But here's the good news. Today, we're going to show you simple, effective ways you can speak English well in your daily life. I'll even share some encouraging stories to help you feel much more sure of yourself. Let's start with something you can easily relate to. Imagine you're at your favorite coffee shop, ready to order that perfect morning drink. How do you say it in English? Is it, "I want a coffee," or "Could I please have a coffee"? Which one sounds more normal to you? Let me tell you about my friend, Emily. She's from Ohio, and she's learning English, just like many of you. A few months ago, we were at a coffee shop, and when it was her turn, she said, "I want a coffee." The barista, who was very nice, smiled but looked a little confused. Emily tried again, and this time she said, "Could I have a coffee, please?" And guess what? The barista's face lit up with a big smile and a "Sure, that sounds much better." From that simple moment, Emily felt much more confident. She realized that small changes in how we say things can make a big difference in how people understand us and connect with us. So, how can we speak more naturally in English every day? The secret, my friends, is regular practice and using those common phrases native speakers say all the time. Instead of always saying, "I want," try "Could I have?" or "I would like." See? They immediately sound more polite and, well, more natural. Now, let me introduce you to my friend David, who speaks English very well. I once asked him, "David, how do you speak so easily every day?" And his answer was very thoughtful. "Sophia," he said, "it's not just about knowing the words, it's about using them in real situations." David practices speaking English with his coworkers at his job, his neighbors, and even when he's just buying food. This constant, easy practice is what helped him speak so smoothly. So, how can you practice speaking English in your daily life? Start small. Use English in tiny talks. Next time you're shopping, try phrases like, "How much is this?" or "Where can I find the milk?" These quick questions are great for building confidence. Let me share another quick story. A few weeks ago, my husband and I were at the supermarket. As we were looking for vegetables, I heard two people talking. One asked, "Do you know where the tomatoes are?" And the other replied, "They're in the third aisle, next to the cucumbers." I thought to myself, that's it. That's a perfect example of simple, everyday English conversation. It really made me think that we all use these basic phrases constantly, and they are your best way to practice speaking more easily. Another powerful way to improve your speaking is by listening carefully. When you listen to people who speak English well, in podcasts like this one, or on TV, or just in daily life, pay close attention to how they say things. What words do they pick? How do they answer their questions? For instance, if someone asks you, "What's up?" Зрение. Вы можете ответить с помощью расслабленного «ничего особенного» или «просто расслабляюсь». These are common, friendly answers you'll hear all the time. Speaking well also comes from understanding how English speakers think. For example, when you talk about your day, you might say, "I went to the gym," or "I had lunch with my friend." English speakers often use simple, direct sentences to describe their daily activities. By using this style, you'll naturally start speaking more like a native. And here's an important reminder. It is totally fine to make mistakes. My husband used to make many mistakes when he was learning English, but he never gave up. The more he practiced, the better he got. His secret? He practiced every single day. Now, he speaks English easily without thinking twice. One last tip for today. Find someone to practice language with. You don't have to be perfect right away. Just talking to someone in English every day, even for a few minutes, will greatly improve your speaking. You can practice with a friend, a coworker, or even someone you meet online. The more you speak, the more confident you'll become. So remember, English fluency is all about practicing every day, listening carefully to others, and using simple, real-life phrases in everyday situations. By doing this regularly, you will slowly change your English skills. Keep going, and you will see amazing progress. Let's continue this journey together. I want you to imagine this. You wake up in the morning, and the first thing you do is get ready for the day. What if you tried to describe your whole morning routine in English? For example, you could say, "I wake up at 6 a.m., I brush my teeth. I make breakfast." These are simple sentences, but they are very good for building confidence and speaking ability. Let me tell you about Emily, a nurse who really wanted to improve her English. She started a tiny, powerful habit. Every morning as she got ready, she would talk to herself in English. She'd say, "Now I'm putting on my shoes. Now I'm drinking tea." It felt a little strange at first, but after just 1 week, she found herself speaking English more easily, with fewer stops. It became a normal part of her daily life. Now, think about your own day. What do you usually do in the afternoon? You can practice by saying things like, "I go to work," or "I cook lunch." If you're a student, maybe it's "I study English," or "I read a book." Saying these things out loud helps your brain start thinking in English. Let's talk about Jack. He works in an office and really wanted to improve his English speaking, but he just didn't have much free time. So, Jack was smart. He found ways to add English into his normal day. When he answered emails, he tried to write them in English. When he had to explain something to a coworker, he purposely used simple English words. And every evening, he spent just 5 minutes talking to his wife in English. After just 1 month, he felt much more confident at work and even started helping his team with English communication. You see, speaking English well doesn't mean using hard or overly fancy words. It means using clear and simple English in your daily life. When you do this every day, your brain naturally starts to think in English. This is how real fluency grows. Now, a quick practice challenge for you. Think about your kitchen. What can you say in English? Try saying this with me. "This is my kitchen. I have a table, I have a fridge, I cook food here." See how simple that is? You can do this in every room in your house. It's a great way to learn words and practice speaking at the same time. Let's hear from one of our amazing listeners, Chris. He sent us a message last week saying he started talking about his house in English for just 2 minutes every morning. After 2 weeks, he could describe everything much more clearly. He said, Now I can speak about my home without stopping to think. That's fluency, my friends. Being able to speak smoothly without getting stuck. You can also practice by pretending to talk to someone. For instance, imagine you're helping a guest at your house. You could say, "Welcome, please sit down. Would you like some water?" This kind of pretend talk gets you ready for real conversations. If you live with someone, your husband, family, or a roommate, try speaking English with them for 5 minutes every day. Even if they're not learning English, they can help you practice. You could say, "Let's speak English while we eat," or "Let's try to talk about our day in English." These small, regular moments make a huge difference. And remember my friend Thomas? He used to feel very shy speaking English. He told me, "Sophia, I always worried I would make a mistake." But then he made a choice. He decided to speak anyway. Every day he talked about his job in English. He'd say things like, "Today I met a new client," or "I wrote a report." Now he speaks English confidently and is no longer afraid of making mistakes. You don't have to wait for the perfect time to speak English. Start now with the things you already do. Talk about your day, describe what's around you, ask simple questions, and give simple answers. The more you speak, the easier it gets. So, here's a small task for you after listening to this podcast. Try to speak for 1 minute in English. You can talk about anything simple: your room, your lunch, your plans for tomorrow. Don't worry about grammar, just speak. This small practice will help you speak more easily over time. All right, let's go even deeper into how you can make speaking English a part of every single day. I'm going to share some more real stories and examples that will make practicing easier and help you feel more comfortable. One of the best things you can do to boost your English speaking is to talk about what's happening around you. For example, if you're walking down the street and you see a beautiful park, instead of just thinking about it in your head, say it out loud in English. "Look at that park. It looks so nice. I would love to go for a walk there." It doesn't matter if you're alone or with someone. Speaking out loud is the secret to building confidence. Let me tell you about my friend Chris from California. He's been learning English for a long time, and he told me that he didn't truly start feeling confident until he began describing his daily activities in English. At first, it felt a little strange. He'd walk around his apartment saying things like, "This is the kitchen. I have a refrigerator. I have a microwave. I eat dinner here." It felt odd, but after just a few days, he noticed something amazing. He didn't need to think about the words as much. They just started to come out naturally. One day, Chris was telling his wife, Emily, about his day at work. He said, "I had a meeting this morning. After that, I worked on a report. In the afternoon, I called a client. It was a busy day." Emily was truly surprised. She said, "Wow, Chris, you're speaking English so much better." He just smiled and told her, "I practiced every day, even when no one was around to listen." His secret was simple: practice speaking out loud every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. This brings me to an important point. You don't need to wait for a perfect situation to start speaking English. You can speak about anything, at any time. Let's say you're cooking dinner. Instead of just thinking about the steps, try saying them in English. "First, I boil the water. Then I add the pasta. I stir it for 5 minutes." Even if you're just describing your actions to yourself, it's a great way to practice. The more you do this, the more normal it will become. When you're walking around your house, take a moment to describe the things around you. "This is the chair. It's next to the table. I sit on this chair when I eat breakfast." You can even talk about future plans. Tomorrow I will go to the supermarket. I need to buy some vegetables. I will also get some fruit. You don't need difficult words. Just keep it simple, and over time, your speaking will get much better. Let me share another inspiring story about my friend Jessica. She's an English teacher, but here's the interesting part. Even though she speaks English every day at work, she still practices outside of work to keep improving her speaking. One day, she told me, "Sophia, I started recording myself speaking about random things, like my plans for the weekend or what I had for lunch." She found that listening to herself not only helped her see her mistakes, but also showed her how much she had improved. By speaking aloud, she could actually hear how natural her sentences sounded, which made her more confident when talking with her students. You might be thinking, "But Sophia, I don't have anyone to practice with." Don't worry, there are many ways to practice on your own. Let's go back to the cooking example. You can pretend you're teaching someone how to make a recipe in English. You could say, "First, we need to chop the vegetables. After that, we cook them in a pan for 5 minutes." By pretending to teach, you're practicing speaking in a way that feels natural and like a real conversation. Another excellent way to practice is by setting small, easy goals for yourself. For example, if you want to practice talking about your hobbies, you could say, "I love painting. I like to paint in my free time. I usually paint landscapes or portraits. It helps me relax." Every time you say something, you are making progress, even if you make a mistake, and that's perfectly okay. Mistakes are a very important part of learning. And remember my husband, Michael? He is also learning English, and he listens to English podcasts every single day. He listens while he's driving, while he's making dinner, or even when he's walking to the store. He doesn't always understand every single word, but by hearing words and sentences many times, he starts seeing patterns. This helps him feel more comfortable when speaking because he knows how to say certain phrases naturally. For example, when Michael listens to a podcast, he hears phrases like, "Could you please pass the salt?" or "I'd like to order the chicken." These are common phrases, and now, when he's at the dinner table or in a restaurant, he can use them without thinking twice. He knows exactly how to ask for what he wants because he's heard these phrases many times. You can practice listening and speaking at the same time. Listen to simple English conversations, then stop and repeat what you hear. It's like having a small conversation with yourself. The more you listen and repeat, the more your brain will get used to how English sounds and how to speak it easily. Here's another great tip. Use your English when you're out shopping or doing errands. Let's say you're at a store and you need to ask for help. You can say, "Excuse me, where can I find the bread?" Or, "How much does this cost?" Even if the person doesn't speak English perfectly, they will appreciate your effort. Plus, by practicing these simple questions, you'll sound more natural over time. If you're at the supermarket, try describing the things you're buying in English. "I need to buy bread, milk, and some apples." You don't have to make it hard. Just use simple sentences and practice the words you already know. Every time you speak, you'll get a little better. It's important to know that speaking English well isn't about being perfect. It's about doing it regularly and practicing. As you keep speaking and listening, your English will naturally get better. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. The goal is to keep practicing and improve each day. In fact, one of the best ways to get better at speaking is by having real conversations. You don't need to speak perfectly, just speak. Whether it's ordering food, asking for directions, or talking about your day, these small talks truly add up. The more you speak, the more comfortable and confident you'll become. And remember, the people around you don't expect you to be perfect. They just want to understand you. So, speak with confidence and don't worry about mistakes. I promise you that with time, you will see amazing improvement. It's not about being perfect right away, but about making progress and feeling more comfortable every day. Let's keep going by looking at how speaking English every day can make a big difference and how you can keep practicing with simple, normal conversations. This will give you the confidence you need to speak easily, whether you're at work, at home, or just talking with friends. You don't need to be perfect, and you certainly don't need to use big, difficult words to sound good. Speaking well is much more about doing it regularly and practicing than it is about knowing many complicated words. One of the most effective ways to practice speaking English every day is by making small, smart changes in how you do your daily routine. Take Robert, for instance. Robert works in an office and has been actively trying to improve his English skills. Every morning, Robert spends a few minutes planning his day in English. He writes down things like, "I will have a meeting at 10 a.m. I will check my emails at 11 a.m. I will take a lunch break at 12:30 p.m. At first, this seemed like such a small thing, but Robert quickly noticed that he was using more English words and becoming more comfortable with the language, even when he was by himself. He practiced saying these things out loud. This simple habit of verbally outlining his plans each morning greatly improved his English speaking. Now, let's look at another inspiring example, this time from Sarah, a mom who stays at home. Sarah knew how important it was to improve her English for her future work, but finding time to study was always hard. Instead of feeling bad about not having enough time, Sarah decided to think creatively. She realized that many daily activities could become great chances to practice English. While making dinner, Sarah would talk to her children in simple English. She would explain things like, now, Sarah also took it a step further by encouraging her children to ask questions in English, even if their level wasn't high. They would ask things like, "What is this called?" or "Can we play outside?" By speaking English during everyday activities, Sarah was able to combine learning with something she was already doing. This helped her avoid feeling guilty about not having extra time for studying. On weekends, Sarah would also make a habit of reading books in English with her kids. This wasn't only for her children's language learning, but also a chance for Sarah to practice her own reading skills. By focusing on how words sounded and speaking easily while reading, Sarah could improve her skills without even realizing it. These activities became a win-win situation. Sarah was able to practice English, and her children were learning it too. Sarah's way of doing things teaches us that speaking well doesn't always need special lessons or many hours of hard study. It's about putting English into your daily life and making it a normal part of what you do. You don't need to study for hours. Just talking, reading, or listening in English throughout your day can make a big impact. Just like Sarah, you can use everyday activities as chances to practice language. Next, let's look at Ryan, a young college student studying business. Ryan had always found English hard, especially when it came to speaking. He felt nervous when it was his turn to speak in class, and he often worried about making mistakes. To get over his fear, Ryan decided to make a habit of speaking English every day, even if it was just for a few minutes. At first, he didn't feel very confident, so he started by talking to himself in English. He would describe what he was doing, like, "I am reading a book right now," or "I'm going to make some coffee." This might sound a little strange, but it really worked for Ryan. By speaking English to himself, Ryan became more comfortable with the language and started feeling less nervous when speaking with others. Over time, Ryan began practicing with his friends. They would meet for coffee after class and speak only in English for an hour. Even though some of them made mistakes, they didn't care. The important thing was that they were practicing together, and this made Ryan feel less shy. Ryan also found that joining an English-speaking study group helped him a lot. When he got ready for tests or worked on projects with his friends, they would talk about the material in English. This gave Ryan even more chances to speak and interact in English in a comfortable setting. By practicing English in a group, Ryan improved his speaking in a helpful place where everyone wanted to get better together. Ryan's experience clearly shows that getting over the fear of speaking in English often means taking small steps and making it part of your daily routine. Speaking to yourself or with friends, even if it's just for a short time, can help you build confidence and speak better. The more you speak, the less fear you'll have. If you're nervous about making mistakes, remember that everyone makes mistakes when learning a new language. It's just part of how you learn. Besides speaking, listening is another very important part of speaking English well. Lisa, a social worker, found it hard to understand English in real talks. She found it difficult to follow fast conversations or understand different ways of speaking. To get better at listening, Lisa started watching English news every morning while drinking her coffee. She found that listening to news helped her hear English in many different situations and with various accents. At first, it was hard for her to understand everything, but she didn't quit. Over time, Lisa became more used to different accents and the speed at which native speakers talked. She also learned to pick out key words, which helped her follow the talk even if she didn't understand every single word. Lisa also started listening to English podcasts, especially those with casual talks. Listening to podcasts allowed Lisa to hear how native speakers talked in everyday situations, which was very different from the formal language in books. By listening to these podcasts regularly, Lisa greatly improved her listening and started to feel more comfortable in conversations. Lisa's way shows that getting better at listening takes time, but it's definitely worth it. By regularly listening to English through news, podcasts, or other audio things, you can train your ears to understand different accents and ways of talking. Just like with speaking, the main thing is to be consistent. By making a habit of listening to English every day, even for a short time, you'll slowly see amazing improvement. Now, let's see how writing can also be very important for improving your speaking. Michael, who works as an engineer, found that his writing skills needed work. Even though he could speak pretty well, his written English wasn't as good. To improve, Michael started keeping a daily diary in English. At first, it felt like a chore, but soon he started looking forward to writing. He would describe his day, talk about his work, or even write short stories. Writing every day helped Michael improve his grammar and how he put sentences together while also learning more words. The more he wrote, the more natural it became for him to write his thoughts in English. Michael also started writing emails and messages in English, even when he didn't have to. For example, if he needed to send a message to a colleague, he would write it in English, even if they both spoke their native language well. This extra practice helped Michael get used to writing in English, and he noticed that he made fewer mistakes over time. Writing in English every day not only helped him speak better, but also helped him explain his ideas more clearly. Michael's experience teaches us that writing can be just as important as speaking and listening when you want to speak a language well. By writing every day, you can strengthen your language skills, improve your grammar, and feel more comfortable expressing yourself. Whether it's keeping a diary, writing emails, or doing writing exercises, regular practice will help you improve your overall English. Now, think about Chris, a college student. Chris had always found English pronunciation hard, especially with certain sounds that weren't in his own language. He often said words wrong and felt embarrassed when others couldn't understand him. To fix this, Chris started recording himself speaking in English. He would read parts from his school books or repeat sentences from his favorite English podcasts. After recording himself, Chris would listen back to his recordings and compare them to the original speakers. He paid close attention to how his voice went up and down, the speed of his speech, and how he said words. At first, Chris felt bad because his recordings didn't sound exactly like the native speakers, but over time, he started to see amazing improvement. He began to focus on the sounds that were hardest for him and practiced them again and again. Eventually, Chris noticed that his pronunciation got much better, and he felt much more confident speaking English in class and with his friends. Recording yourself and comparing it to native speakers is a great way to improve how you say words and how easily you speak. Chris's way shows that practicing pronunciation by recording yourself is a strong tool for anyone who wants to sound more natural in English. It helps you catch mistakes that you might not notice when just speaking and allows you to see how much you're getting better. By focusing on specific sounds and practicing regularly, you can truly improve how you say words and feel more confident speaking English. In summary, getting good at English every day is all about finding smart ways to put the language into your routine. Whether it's talking to yourself, having conversations with friends, listening to podcasts, watching the news, writing in a diary, or recording yourself, these are all simple but effective ways to make English a regular part of your life. Speaking well doesn't happen overnight, but by practicing regularly and in different ways, you'll be able to speak English confidently and naturally. The more you practice, the more you will improve, and before you know it, speaking English will feel completely natural to you. Keep practicing, and you'll see progress very soon. That brings us to the end of another helpful episode of the Best English Podcast. I truly hope these stories and tips encourage you to make English a happy, regular part of your daily life. Remember, every small step counts on your journey to speaking well. Before we finish, I want to give a special mention to our previous episode, 25 Phrases Every English Intermediate Learner Must Know. If you haven't seen it yet, I really suggest you do. Those phrases are very important for sounding natural and confident in daily conversations. They're quick, practical, and perfect for adding to your practice, especially after listening to today's episode. So, go to our channel and give it a listen. It's a great match for everything we talked about today. Thank you so much for joining me, Sophia, on the Best English Podcast. Your effort to improve your English is truly inspiring. If you found this episode helpful, please give us a like, leave a comment below, telling us which tip you'll try first, and don't forget to subscribe to the Best English Podcast for more useful content to help you on your way to speaking well. We love hearing from you. Until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and keep speaking English with confidence. Bye for now.